And this is why you hear people telling the chronically online to go out and touch grass, because sometimes we need to physically reconnect ourselves back to Mother Nature. Literally, maybe go do that. Go out and touch grass. Go outside and just breathe some air, some fresh air. Girls, when is the last time you've been outside? You know, this is a huge indicator. Hello, I am your host, Aaliyah Joyce, and welcome to When Are You Free? Where here we are always free. Not me actually posting a second podcast like I said I would. I love when I make promises to myself and I keep them. Yay! Guys, I am so excited to be here today. I've got tea, I've got my water, I'm feeling great, the sun is shining, the day is good. And I am just really excited today because today we're talking about one of my favorite and one of everyone else's favorite topics, and that is just entertainment in media. We all love to come home after a long day of work and turn on our favorite show or do a little late night scrolling on TikTok for some recipe inspiration or to watch our favorite fitness influencer. And while those are great, social media and entertainment in general can have a lot of negative downsides and effects, as we have seen throughout probably our use of them and consumption of them. So if that is of any of interest to you, please stick around. When Are You Free is currently sponsored by me, myself, and I, but if you would like to partner, collaborate, or sponsor us, please visit our website at aaliyahjoyce.com and fill out our contact form. Thank you. And we're going to be talking more today about influencers and celebrities in general. Now, this isn't going to be one of those typical YouTube think pieces where we compare and contrast celebrities versus influencers and match their characteristics, see who has the most talent, has the most money, who deserves to go to the award shows. Those are overdone and they're played out. But since you brought it up, I've taken the liberty of drawing up a Venn diagram. So on this side, we have the celebrity. They have mystery. They have glamour. They are the height of elitism. When you think of them, you think what? Hollywood. You think of people that dominate the red carpet. And you also think of world acclaimed talent. On the other side, we have the influencer. They are nothing if not relatable and all about real life. Their personality is the product. And instead of being centered in one place like Hollywood and New York, they're more regional and niched. And when they do move to Hollywood and New York, you don't think they belong there. They often get labeled as quote unquote transplants. Now, what do the celebrity and the influencer have in common? They're rich. They all have some type of followers or fans, if you will. They all are cancelable. I'm pretty sure that's word. They are influential, and they all belong at the Met Gala ? I really don't know. You guys remember there was like a whole controversy when oh my gosh, what was it? 3 years ago when all of the influencers and YouTubers got invited to the Met Gala. It was James Charles, Addison Rae, Charlie, Dixie, like all of them got invited to the Met Gala. And all of a sudden, everybody became the executive director of the Met Ball and was like, how dare they? They do not belong there. They don't have enough talent. They don't have enough money. Da, 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 da. And I just find it interesting how these two worlds have collided in the past couple of years, and also how we even got to this point where there are everyday people / influencers that are now in these spaces with traditional celebrities. In the era where traditional media ruled, it was all about the mystery and all about the glamour of the celebrity. Back then, it wasn't about being super transparent or relatable. It was all about being as unobtainable and unknowable as possible that made you the height of celebrity. And when I think of that, I think of two of the most prolific musicians in pop music. Number one, Michael Jackson. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. I went through a whole Michael Jackson phase, I think like in 2006 or 2008, like shortly after he passed away. I don't know why, but it's a rite of passage when you're a child to have and just some type of era where you are obsessed with Michael Jackson. And mine happened right after he died. I was like, because they were playing the documentaries and the music videos all the time. And I just fell in love with his music. And I've seen like almost every version of a Michael Jackson documentary at some point in my life. And what was so crazy was how much of his life was centered around speculation. People had speculations about his skin color, about his children, his family that he grew up with in Gary, Indiana, relationship with Diana Ross, or his like marriage to what was her name, Lisa Presley, like his first wife. Like, why did he have a pet monkey? People were so curious to know about him, to know about Neverland, to know about his childhood. And it's crazy because a lot of things that we quote unquote know are speculations, are rumors, are things that people have had to piece together over the years because people were so hungry for bits and pieces of his life. Because when you think about it, Michael Jackson didn't actually do a lot of interviews. A lot of the documentaries that are made about his life are, taken from people that were around him, and just different things that people could put together, because he did not speak on himself a lot. He spoke a lot more on his music. The second character I think about is Britney Spears, Miss Britney Spears, Free Britney, my girl forever. And she also was and is a very private person. Up until recently, she did do her first, tell-all book. But for years, we had no idea what had happened, between her and Justin Timberlake, about the toxicity between her and her management team, and just the terrible family circumstances that she had to deal with and the drama that ensued there. But do you guys remember back in the early 2000s? I remember watching this live when Britney had her huge breakdown. She was dodging all of the paparazzi. I was like, so many people were following her, trying to catch a glimpse of her and see what was going on. And she had this whole mental breakdown and shaved her head. And back then, everybody was like, whoa, like Britney's gone crazy. She's on drugs. She's doing this. She's doing that. Da-da-da-da-da. Come to find out years later about all of the trauma and things that she had endured, it's like, oh my gosh, it really put the pieces together. But part of her breakdown and not knowing really what caused it, and all of the controversy with her and Justin and so many other things, is what made her the star that she is, a person that just seems larger than life. Her and Michael Jackson and so many others before them have had this air about them, like thinking about like even Beyonce, Prince, just different people that you think of that are Hollywood royalty, that have this air where you don't really know anything about them, and that's what gives them the power that is celebrity. I think this started to really change also in the early 2000s. And this is just my hypothesis. I think that this shift started to happen with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, funnily enough. I remember watching some of the first episodes of Keeping Up with my mom when I was younger, and being so fascinated by the Kardashian Jenner clan, because it was just seeing the quote unquote, obviously reality TV is fake, but it gave you the sense of, oh, I'm in their home. I'm seeing what they do for work. I'm seeing, them sit down together and have dinner together with these, this fancy house and cars and the luxury bags and different things that they own, and seeing it all in real time and getting a peek behind the curtain behind how the other half lives. And I think that this started to give us the creep into, the transparency, the relatability culture that we have today. Not saying that the Kardashians are by any means relatable, but I think you understand what I mean. And it was wildly successful, which was the crazy thing. As they're the Kardashians, they quote unquote, have no talent. None of them are musicians. None of them are actors or actresses or anything like that. When you think of a traditional celebrity, they don't dance, they don't do anything. But they started to make this whole career and dynasty for themselves just by inviting you into their lives. And a lot of other people caught on to this. And then you started to see reality shows in that time just pop off the wazoo. I feel like the early 2000s, that was the time to make a reality show, whether it was about love, on Flavor of Love, I Love New York. I remember Kevin Jonas made one also with E! News. He did one. They had a million spinoffs just with the Kardashian family alone, where Rob did one, and then Kourtney and Khloe also did one. So many people saw the value and the money to be made in this type of transparent, real life, quote unquote, content. And then we see an even bigger shift from the early 2000s to the 2010s, where YouTube starts to skyrocket in popularity. Everybody's starting to get a smartphone in their hands just a little bit. And, online, people are starting to post a lot of videos. People are starting to become YouTube famous. I think some of the biggest at that time, people like Lily Singh, Ryan Higa, Tana Mojo, Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, James Charles, Emma Chamberlain, the Dolan twins. Everybody started to pop off and have a YouTube channel and were able to gain a following, and people just ate it up. And it was not anything crazy high produced. It was just Lily Singh in her childhood bedroom, I believe. And she was just making these skits about her everyday life and her parents and how they would, do the craziest things. And so she would just she would write all of those and then she would act them out, and I ate it up. I loved it. A lot of people watched Tana Mojo, and again, she wasn't doing anything super crazy. She was just talking about different stories that had happened to her. Even if they were a little bit fabricated, people just loved the story time. Jeffree Star and his makeup, James Charles, all the Dolan twins doing all of those challenges. People loved it. People loved, Emma Chamberlain, and Emma wasn't doing anything super crazy. She wasn't acting, singing, or dancing. She was going to the Dollar Tree and buying shirts and trying to make them cuter. She was going around and trying different fast food burritos and telling you which one was the best one. And people loved that. And this brings us all the way to modern day. Social media has completely taken over in terms of entertainment, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or Facebook, even for the ones that are still there. People love it. People love watching your get ready with me's, the coffee orders, the clean my house with me, go to work with me. And it's just, you get to see so many different parts of a lot of people's lives, and everyone loves the relatability of it, the transparency of it, and feeling like you're spending time with a person even though you're not. You get inspiration for it, or you find like camaraderie. People even find online community by just watching these videos, commenting on them, and it gives you this sense when watching it like, oh hey, like they're just like me, and so you like it. And so I do find the trends of traditional celebrity to modern day influencer, how they coincide and how they're completely different, very interesting and intriguing. And again, we talked about it. Again, they're all rich, influential. They have the followers. They do this, they do that. And, get invited to the Met Gala or don't, it really makes no difference to me. But what does make a difference to you and also me is how watching all of this entertainment affects us personally. A lot of us like to think that when we consume this content, it's a passive process and does not affect us whatsoever. But I think in this day and age, we're all past the point of that, and know that what we're viewing every single day through TikTok or Netflix, HBO, or Instagram, that all of this is more than just simple entertainment. So let's take a short dive into some media literacy. The first thing is media controls you. Now, this is a bold and seemingly reductive statement. Most people, if I ask them, hey, do you think that media controls you? I don't think that they would be inclined to admit that, yes, it does. Even if it is true for them, they might not be the quickest to admit it. And I understand why. It's hard to just say that this little thing that we carry around with us day in and day out has that much control over us. And maybe you can't admit that, but maybe you can admit that media does have a tendency to make us very materialistic or push us towards consumerism. A lot of people might agree with that. Have you ever heard someone say like, oh my gosh, yes, I love watching the Kardashians. And then like people kind of dog them for it. Like, oh my gosh, like, how could you watch something like that? It's like so vapid. It's so shallow. It's so vain. They're like, hey, like I watch it more for the motivation of it. Like, yeah, it's trash TV, but it helps me feel motivated, one day I hope to be like in a multi-million-dollar mansion just like them. And people are like, you still kind of get judged for it. I love keeping up with the Kardashians myself. My personal favorite sister is Kim Kardashian. She just eats down like every single time. Like every time I see her on Instagram, girl is just popping up with something new, a new collaboration, a new business venture. And she's a lawyer, or she's going to be a lawyer. Maybe. I don't know. I just love her. And the show is so funny. I just love watching the sisters throughout the years. Do you guys remember that phone call like with her and Courtney?
It's like you're just a witch and I hate you. Okay?
Was so funny. I cannot get over that. I still think about that to this day. We know it's trash TV, but we all just eat it up and love it. And again, that's just kind of a trend, not even with keeping up with the Kardashians, but even thinking about who are some of the most popular TikTok stars now. A lot of people follow these fitness influencers because we love watching them in their little aloe sets, or now it's Ashton Hall for the men with his 3 a.m. morning routine in his, I don't even know what name brands he's wearing. I think it's above my pay grade. I don't even know. Like those loafers that he put on with no socks and everything, he put those on, and those were some brand that I'm not rich enough to know about. But people love that. People love seeing, them in their expensive workout sets doing the 2-hour workouts that none of us would ever have time to do because we have real jobs. We love seeing Alex Earl in the Versace dress, going to the white party and going to this event and doing this and that. We loved watching the Darnell twins with their fake, real Chanel bags, Hermes bags. I know a lot of people were dogging them, but it got millions of views. People were interested and watching. And the bottom line is that we like that kind of content as a culture. The numbers speak for themselves, that people like having something to aspire to. They like getting a peek behind the curtain of how the other half lives. I've watched a myriad of think pieces on this topic. And what's so interesting is that in all of them, a lot of people like to say that social media is what is making us so consumeristic and materialistic society. And I see what they're saying. I definitely think it has been amplified, but I also think that this is a phenomenon that is not new and has been going on for forever. Now, I'm only 26. I think I'm 26. Yes, I'm 26. And I love how I looked off to the camera as if someone's going to confirm to me that I'm 26, but I'm 26 years old. So I have not lived a lot of life, but I have lived some. And I remember when I was growing up, bringing it back to the early 2000s, because that is my frame of reference. When I was growing up, when I was in the back of my mom's Honda, what was blaring through the speakers but Glamorous by Fergie? Do y'all remember that? If you ain't got no money, take your broke. Oh, that was everything. Like, I loved that song. I loved Fergie. That was such a bop. I was singing that on the playground at 6-7 years old. I was like, yes. Like, what she said, in her Mercedes Benz, like she's flying first class up in the sky, champagne, living the life in the fast lane. Everybody wants that. And it's just so fun. That was super popular. One of the most famous teen shows at that time and also of all time was Gossip Girl. And the show is not about everyday, regular, average Joes. The show is about NYC trust fund babies and their dramatic lives. Yeah, it did well. The ratings through the roof. People are still watching it to this day. I watch it every single year, probably. And it was super popular and is super popular. And let's not forget about the multiple MTV shows about this kind of stuff. MTV Cribs, My Sweet 16. Oh, Pimp My Ride. Pimp My Ride was kind of not a part of it, but it was part of it. You know, it was still in the thing. But, you know, in My Sweet 16, it really set the expectation unrealistically high for me of what I thought my 16th birthday would be like. Girls were literally handing out phones, actual phones, as party invitations and giving them to people. And they would get picked up for the party in their limousine with their designer dress and all of their friends to go party in a mega mansion. And literally Snoop Dogg was like the guest of honor, like performing at their party. It was insanity in a top rated show. And we all get a fair kick out of that kind of stuff, of those kinds of songs and that type of TV show and the $10,000 YouTube Christmas hauls. And we love it, but at the same time, it is affecting us and making this mental pathway in our mind that we lack something. Most of us think that we're mentally strong enough to resist the temptation of marketing and that, oh, like I would, never fall for that. But there is a reason that these influencers that we are watching are getting paid, not all of them, but some of them be getting paid $50,000 per post that they put up. That's a real number. People are getting paid that to sell something to you. There is also a reason why Fortune 500 companies pay millions upon millions of dollars for 30 seconds in a Super Bowl ad. It's not because those things don't affect you. These marketing teams, they're not stupid and they understand what makes money. And I think it's important for us in this age where we're so oversaturated with ads and with media and entertainment to mindfully navigate through those things. And if you still don't believe me, I would challenge you to just take a second and do a small inventory of your products in your home and also your inner mind, and think about your favorite makeup products, hygiene products, your things that you use just to clean the house, the places that you're thinking of going on vacation, the things that you have on your bucket list, concerts that you want to see, even habits that you want to start. And where did you learn about those things? How did you decide you wanted to do that? How did you decide, that was the treadmill that you wanted to buy for your home, the couch that you wanted to buy? It's because you were marketed that idea. You saw some ad on TV, on Instagram, you saw some other girl have it like in a post or whatever. And so then you ordered the same thing. We all have, not everybody, but a lot of us have the Rare Beauty blush and lots of e.l.f. products, and probably want to go to the Sabrina Carpenter concert, or have been to the Taylor Swift, or wanted to go to the Taylor Swift Eras tour. I went. Sorry for those of you who didn't. But we're being marketed to, and we all kind of buy into the same things a little bit. You're not as unique as you think. I'm so sorry. But again, I do see what some other people who commentate on this are talking about, because it has gotten to a point especially with TikTok nowadays, where consumerism it's just like, it gets to a point. It does get to a point with our Stanleys that have their own purses, their own lipstick holders, and you have like a little container to go on top of the Stanley. It's just, we have containers for the things that already come in containers, but these are more aesthetic. We have to have the perfect jewelry stack. We have to have 6 different types of the same Dior lip oil. We got to have 17 types of body scrub. I get it. It gets to a point. And consuming all of this stuff can make you feel a little bit insecure and also a little bit inadequate. So it's important for us to mindfully consume these things and understand that a lot of this is not real. A lot of people don't live this way. And watching all of these things all of the time can make you feel like you have to have this perfect life with a perfect aesthetic, or you always have to enjoy every single moment and everything needs to be a highlight. And that's just not real life. The second thing that I would like to address is how social media can affect not only how we perceive other people, but how we perceive ourselves. The easiest way that we can see how media just immediately affects how we view those around us is by looking at those typical stereotypes that you see played out in TV and also in film, and how those can affect our biases in real life. You guys know maybe some of the things that I'm talking about. You have the character that's tall, dark, and handsome, and everybody wants him. You have the girl who is the dumb blonde, you know, the nerdy character, the emo character, the brute jock, the blonde bombshell, the flamboyant gay character, the ghetto black girl or boy character that they put in every single movie and TV show, the smart Asian, the nerdy dork. Maybe you've been a victim of those stereotypes in real life where people did automatically look at you and have some type of implicit bias because of your occupation, because of the color of your skin, because of how you dress, because you dress in all black. Then they think that you're like super goth and emo. With social media, it's less of a blanket statement, and now it's even more niche stereotypes where you have the clean girl and the alpha male and the himbos and the medium ugly guys. I do say I like how social media is starting to niche guys off a little bit more with the golden retriever. I feel like it happened a lot more with women in media, but like at least in traditional media and in social media, I feel like we're really coming down on the guys. I love how they came up with the whole category of the medium uglies. Like, I would have never thought of that in my life. But now that you guys have put all the pieces together, it's really starting to make sense. Like, yes, that does make sense. But you see what I'm saying? Like, when we all start to like recognize patterns in people, it is easy to start to group people together. And I don't think that sometimes that means that we all automatically stereotype other people when we meet them in real life, but and treat them accordingly. But what I will say is that social media, traditional media, they do affect our brains and they do affect how we perceive other people. There are implicit biases that you have when you see people, whether that's in real life or through a screen. There are implicit biases that are being planted in your brain to group people together and to assign them predetermined characteristics. Another way that we can see how this plays out in culture in a super evident way is by looking at our current political climate, especially in the past, I want to say 10 years. So if I ask you in your mind, picture someone who is a traditionally conservative person. You probably can come up in your, like, you can probably come up with in your head right now someone who looks atypically conservative and can assign them all kinds of characteristics and beliefs and what they might wear and what activities they might participate in. If I ask you to picture someone who is traditionally liberal, you would be able to come up with a picture relatively easily. And I would bet that, again, it's based off of things that you've seen on the news, things that you've seen online. There are implicit images that are strategically placed by other people to have us think, okay, this is what a traditionally conservative person looks like, what they think and what they believe, and you start to judge them accordingly. Same with liberal. Same with Republican, Democrat, and even independents. And it's not hard to, just with that simple example, see how implicit biases are placed in our minds, and how even like how in the media there is an intentional narrative that is pushed of us versus them, and how they do that is by pushing those biases and those stereotypes upon you. to get you to think a certain way, to believe certain things about other people, to turn you against people, and have you make all of these judgments. And I'll just say this, if it can affect how we view our neighbor who lives 10 minutes down the road, or our coworker who works just across the office from us, then it can affect how we view ourselves. We are so exposed to face-tuned images and bodies that are on Instagram and plastered in magazines and billboards. We idolize the glamorized relationships and opulent wealth that we see in TV and film. We aspire to the perfect morning routines and the aesthetic spice drawers of TikTok. And I think it's hard to admit these hard truths to ourselves about entertainment and media because we enjoy our TikTok scroll sessions so much and just, unwinding after a long day at work to watch our favorite show. But deep down, overexposure to these things can cause us deep feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. And the reason why this happens is we start viewing our real lives through the same lens of the camera, where everything on that side, on the side that we're consuming all of the time, is filtered and edited and chopped up and showing you the absolute best takes of photos and of video shots that people have. That's why they posted it, because it is the best of what they have. And you're comparing your real life to those snapshots. And what starts to happen with that overexposure of perfectly curated life is you start to become dissatisfied with what reality truly is. Because in reality, there are no jump cuts, there are no filters, there is no perfect man out there that was scripted by a woman. Like, that just isn't real. Those things are all fake and chopped up and not what real life is really like. And then what begins to happen from there is the dissatisfaction just continues to foster and grow, where you start to feel like, oh, maybe I'm not pretty enough, after that Instagram scroll session, and you're not skinny enough, you're not rich enough, whatever it is, fill in the blank, compared to what you see through that filtered screen. Do you ever wonder why you feel a little bit anxious or depressed after a long Netflix binge or a TikTok doom scroll? It's because you are subconsciously comparing that imaginary fake life that you just consumed to your real one. So speaking of, let's talk about your social media induced anxiety. Now, there are 3 numbers in life that people feel uncomfortable talking about or other people think is inappropriate to bring up. Those things are your weight, how much money you make, and your screen time. Now, normally people don't share this out loud, but we're cool. We're friends. Like, I'm that girl that you met in the bar bathroom that one time, and you guys were just crying, laughing, best of friends, for that 10 to 15 minutes. And you don't remember her name, but you would do anything for her. That's how close I want us to be. And so I am going to be open. I'm going to be a little vulnerable, and I'm going to share the worst screen time that I've ever had. Now, I'm not going to give you the week or the month because that's a little too much. It's a little too much. We ain't going to be in each other's wedding, girl. But I will tell you the worst daily screen time I had, which is honestly just as embarrassing. I don't even really want to say this. This is really bad. And maybe yours is worse. Maybe yours is better. But either way, this is embarrassing for me to admit on the internet. My worst screen time ever was 10 hours. 10 hours. And that's just kind of bad. That's not good. Y'all, I could have worked a whole day of work and then some by the time I got off of this phone. Like, that's not good. I could have worked, I could have exercised, I could have filmed like at least 3 or 4 of these. Hung out with friends, went on a date. I could have done so many things, and yet I spent all of that time on my phone, living vicariously through other people. It's a little sad. Now, if you've been worse, don't feel bad if, you're a little bit under. Good for you, girl, but this is my worst screen time. Now, I will say this was, I think when I reached that point, I was like peak depression. And it was like, girl, I wonder why. I wonder why. Like, it's peak depression and you're spending 10 hours a day on your phone. That's 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like, let's not trick ourselves. And it's really hard because they make these apps purposefully addictive, like the interface and the colors that they even use and the way that they make notifications come to you. It fires all of these pathways, like neuron pathways in your brain to make you want to keep clicking and scrolling and liking and commenting. It's intentionally designed that way. And at the time for me, I, was using social media and watching a lot of TV. And that definitely did contribute to my depression. But there were these other external circumstances that were in real life that I was not facing, because day in and day out, I was numbing myself because I didn't want to deal with it. Like, some people have issues with addiction, with alcohol. People have addiction with drugs, sex, all of these things. But some of us have a real addiction to entertainment and media, and we use it to not face our problems. And that's really hard to see, especially when you are so deep into it, because you tell yourself, like, I could turn this off anytime I wanted. I can close this app whenever I want. But look at the screen time. I really encourage you to do that. And that will show you, like, evidence will show you that that's actually not the case. And you'll start to see, like, is this how I really want to spend most of my spare time, is by just doing this all day? Is that what you want your life to look like? What I don't want you to hear me say is that all of your mental health issues are chalked up to you watching TV too much or using Instagram too much. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it can be a huge contributor of you not dealing with those issues. Instead of spending so much of your time, maybe it's just an hour. Instead of an hour on social media, go outside and go for a walk. Instead of an hour watching that show, maybe it's time for us to book a therapy session. I don't know. Call me crazy. I'm just saying, give it a shot. And I'm just going to be real with you. These phone companies, those marketing teams, the app designers, they really don't care about you personally. They don't know you and don't really care about how their interface and their algorithms are causing your mental health to go to, they don't care about that. But you have to be an advocate for yourself. I'm a big fan of that. In every area of life, you need to be your biggest advocate, because no one else is going to do it. If you're like me at this point, you might be asking, Aaliyah, what are we going to do? Because I love watching those Get Ready With Me's. And you know what? You're real for that. You're real for that. Because some people are like complete overhaul, and they will get rid of their entire phone, and they will go off the grid, delete all socials, and get a flip phone. And to those people, I am amazed. And maybe one day I could get to that point. But for right now, I'm just managing. And I think that that's good too, because I like to enjoy it. I think it's a great way to connect with people. So let's just talk about how we can healthily consume media. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to root our relationships, our interest, our mind, our soul into reality, not a fantasy. And this is why you hear people telling the chronically online to go out and touch grass, because sometimes we need to physically reconnect ourselves back to Mother Nature. And so this can be done in a myriad of ways. Literally, maybe go do that. Go out and touch grass. Go outside and just breathe some air, some fresh air. Girls, when is the last time you've been outside? This is a huge indicator. Just go outside, go for a little walk and start to exercise. Try finding a hobby that is not just mindless scrolling and watching TV. I know it's very tempting. A lot of us, and I used to kind of live my life this way as well, where I would go to school or go to work. And as soon as I got home, as soon as I was done with my homework or chores or whatever, all I wanted to do was turn on a TV. All I wanted to do was mindlessly scroll. And that's okay sometimes, but sometimes let's not do that. Let's pick up some other hobby. Let's do knitting. Let's go to a pottery class. If you insist on being on your phone still, girl, learn how to speak German or something. Pick up on that Duolingo, Let's do something else instead. Practice mindfulness. This is something that I struggle with, but when I practice it, the clarity in my mind is on 100. This can be so simple. It could just be prayer. It could be meditation. You could do breathing exercises. You can just literally go outside and listen to the sound of birds, of the wind blowing, feel the sun on your face and just sit in that. That is also mindfulness, very simple. Just go outside and breathe and live and exist and experience it. And that is mindfulness. And it's so crazy how clear your mind gets by practicing this. It helps so much just ground you back into yourself. Be present. I cannot stress this enough. So much of our life we go through and we're not actually experiencing it. Try going to a concert or an event that you've been looking forward to for a minute and don't take any videos or don't take any pictures. Or if you do, only do it at the beginning or only do it at the end of the event and just immerse yourself in whatever it is that's going on. When you are at work, this is a huge temptation for me, but I know a lot of us like to listen to music or listen to podcasts, like especially if you're doing like a very manual task. And sometimes that's fun to help the time pass by, but instead try really just doing your work with no distractions. Just like really immerse yourself into whatever project or task that you're working on. Cook at home and don't play music or do anything else while you're cooking. Just focus on the taste of it, focus on the smell of it, the feel as you chop your vegetables. Like, be present in the moment. Even in your entertainment, be present. I can't tell you the amount of times this has happened to me or happened to other people where we're literally watching a movie and you're on your phone. Girl, just watch the movie, be present. So we're rooting ourselves in reality, but we are also using social media and entertainment. We are not letting it use us. So this is the biggest thing. Try not to be a victim of the algorithm. That is what they want you to do. They want to take advantage of you, take advantage of your time and of your attention. And because that's how they make money. That's how they profit. The longer that you're on it, the more things that you click on, the more things that you buy, the more money that they make. But instead, use it to your own advantage. Instead of trying to enrich them, enrich your own life. One thing that helps me with this is by only looking at the people that I follow on YouTube and TikTok. This helps me so much. It helps me because I follow a lot of people that, share the same interest as me, whether it's more of like funny entertainment or like book talk people or people who have like aspirational lifestyles that help motivate me or might be in the same career path that I want to be in. I like to watch those people and I don't follow a ton, and just scrolling through my following instead of always for you or the homepage helps a ton because I can get all of those updates and then I can just close the app and I can be done for the day. And so my scroll sessions are a lot less and I'm still getting the content that I want that's like entertaining to me or helpful to me, and I don't scroll through a bunch of random stuff. You can use it to educate yourself as well. So I swear I use TikTok half the time as a Google search engine because that's how good their search engine is to figure out how to do the most random things. I was trying to figure out how to reset my oil life on my car and TikTok knew how to do it. I was like, yeah, like obviously. Helped so much. I'm trying to become better at my dancing. And so I was looking up, how do I perfect my plie when I'm dancing? And lo and behold, there are a ton of videos on it. So you could use that. You can use YouTube, use Google, all these things like to your advantage to educate yourself. I loved watching earlier this year the biggest pop off of Hillman Talk, where people are quite literally taking courses from college professors. And again, they're not full blown, but getting full reading list and syllabuses, or syllabi, if you will, from these college professors, learning about African American history, about interior design, and all kinds of other things, and educating themselves. It was like, oh my gosh, I love like being nerds with you guys. And I followed a few of those people, and it was really fun. I got a lot of cool book recommendations from it. Some people even use it to create online communities that turn into real life communities. One of my favorite ways that I've seen this happen is I followed this booktuber person. She's BookTok and BookTube, if you will, and her name's Steph Boerer. I love that girl, and she has this online community that is like kind of a book club, and a lot of the girls in it have gone and they just like have like their own like little group message and stuff, and they've met in real life because of it. And I'm like, this is the cutest, most wholesome thing that I've seen, and I love when we use the internet like this. Because when you look at the original intent of social media, it was for us to enrich relationships with people that we have in real life. So I encourage you to do that. Even when you watch TV or you watch movies, why don't you, instead of watching the same shows that you've watched 1,000,001 times over, like we've all seen Gossip Girl and Gilmore Girls 2,000,000 times, more times than we can count. But instead, why don't we watch that movie or that TV show that our friend or our coworker or that person at church mentioned to us? And it's like, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Like, I'll pick this up. And you do, and now you have something in common with that person, and that, you guys can debrief about the episodes together, and it's something that's going to enrich your relationships in real life. All of this to say, I am just like the next girl, and I will eat up a Get Ready With Me. I will watch a 3-hour long documentary on Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, and I will be dying laughing in the TikTok comment sections. This is just your gentle reminder that all of these things are entertainment and they are not real. There is so much life to be lived and knowledge to be gained and experiences for you to have outside of those things. And while I'm even glad that you have chosen to listen to me today, I would like for you to go out and live. So go do that. All right, this was a fun one today. I got to talk about some of my favorite things, but that is all that I have for you today. I hope that something that I said was helpful to you. I hope that it helps change how you view media and how you consume it and how you use it to connect with other people. But that is all I have for now. I will see you next time on When Are You Free? Bye. Okay, I have to go to work now.